Hello, everybody. I thought I'd come on a little bit early and we can hang out in the chat for a little bit. I'm just having a little snack and some water. I left my lemonade upstairs. We are a bit early. I know that I am about half an hour early. I thought I would come on here and hang out with you guys. What's up, Heather? We are making another Christmas block today at noon, and so I thought I would come on a little early and have a little snack and chat for a little bit, and then ask you guys if you want another. If you are doing this for the first time, let me know. Do you want an overhead view of what I'm doing? Because if so, I'll set that up right now. But I didn't know how many would be new today if you missed the live tutorial on was it the 14th? I think it was the 14th. Thursday? So I don't know if I should set up the overhead camera view again. These are the best chips ever. I'm telling you. Woohoo! Yeah! You're always up so early. Aren't you in the UK, Lynn? Aren't you the one that's always up at like 3 in the morning? I said the thing on your shirt. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh gosh. It must have filtered it out. That's weird. Yeah, I know I look like a hot mess. I put on like a really big baggy, guess what, chicken butt shirt. And I have like pajama shorts on. But we were outside playing with the water table, and the kids just had lunch and went down for a nap. So I was like, well, why not? Why not jump in early and hang out with you guys for a little bit? All right, you got it. I'm going to set up the overhead real quick. I think on Thursday, I had an overhead, and then I had like a face view, and it just wasn't a good. So I think I'm just going to do overhead today. And then when we're all done, I'll switch it back to, don't drop my chip. We'll set it back to this view. If we want to sew a little bit later, I have some other stuff that I need to work on. Heather, you are probably wanting to smack me, but okay. So someone asked me, Donna, from Handmade by Ying, asked me if I would help her put these FPP blocks together for her hopscotch quilt. I promise you that once I am done with that, I'm going to start cutting into the fabric for your test quilt. You probably want to strangle me, but it's going to happen. She said, yup. I'm sorry. Things literally kept coming up. And then, of course, I signed up for a swap. All right. Now we got to find where my camera and that cord went. I literally had it the other night or the other day. I don't think I brought it upstairs or anything. I think someone moved it. Because it was all right here. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone live yet. Because now I'm going to play the game of find my camera. Find my expensive camera. That is really strange. Oh, okay. I know where it is. I brought it to the Casey Makers thing. Austin's like, cords in the kitchen. Okay, guys, I'm going to go grab my... Heather, don't hate me. I swear, I can't say no to things. And so I kept saying yes to everything, and it kept pushing your test quilt back. I'm so sorry. But Halloween is like, we still have some time. So once I'm done with her blocks, and then Yeah, once I'm done with your blocks, I'm cutting into your fabric. Okay? I mean it. And then I can long arm it. All right, let me go grab my camera. And hi, Janet. Good night. I always get you in the morning because I get on really late. Okay, let me go get my stuff for the overhead. We for sure. I know, Heather, but I told you I'd get it done. I didn't really give like a date. Hold on. I'm back. I'm back. And I got my stuff. Good morning. Hello, Christine. Okay. Yeah, I brought this to the event the other day. I brought my camera to take some videos at KC Makers. They had their 1-year anniversary the other night. Come on. Come on, camera. Or a computer. I feel like you have to put it close. Magic. Magic. There we go. My keyboard might be dead though. That's fine. There we go. Alright, let's get this set up. Maybe I should have come on early. You were watching the Hot Mess Express. But I think it's good to see like what it takes to set up and everything. That's what I did last tutorial. So I'm going to grab my Archon mount. This thing is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love it. It's got a camera option, like a camera attachment, and then also like there's an attachment option to put your phone on there, so that's really nice. Let's screw this thing on. I always get so nervous putting my camera on. I'm like, don't drop it. Don't drop the camera. Good morning. Thank you, Heather. Oh, nice. That sounds fun. We were just outside too. It's not too bad today. Austin and his parents they were fixing our fence because our fence line was like sinking, and so they worked on that yesterday and today. And yesterday I took the kids out for like maybe 10 minutes, and it was just way too hot. But today it was like 78, so it wasn't that bad. We were able to stay out a little bit later, and then we just came in for lunch and like not even that long ago. All right, let's get this set up. Austin, if you're still on, we have to get a long cord like this because Tyler's going to be wanting this back. Shout out to the brother-in-law. Thanks for letting us use your tech. Your big long cord. Alrighty. I've got all my tools out, I'm pretty sure, because I was doing FPP last night on Donna's blocks. Alright, I'm going to switch the view. Oh gosh, 103. Dang. Hello, Delia. How are you doing? Okay, let's put on our camera view. There we go. Hello. To make it even better, let's put this light on and really get that lit up nice so it's not dark and okay. Let me show you guys what I was working on last night. When we hop off this tutorial, I might just stay on So there's a 1, 2, 3 to the 4, 5, and then 7. So I have 6, 8, 9, and 10 left to do. And then these will be all done, and I'll send them out to Donna. So this is what I've been working on at night. I was sewing these up last night. I decided not to go live. I just put on like a comedy skit episode on Netflix, and I just listened to it while I worked. It was nice and relaxing. But maybe after we're done making our Christmas blocks, and let's cross our fingers that today my points are going to match up a little bit better. I don't know what my deal was. Maybe it was just too late the other night. But look at that. That's driving me crazy. So I think I might make another one and turn it into a mug rug. I'm just not really happy with this, so I don't want to give it to my swap partner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out this pattern, but I'm going to print it out at 200%. So it is a 12-inch block instead. And I'm going to be using the 12-inch blocks to make a table runner. So I'm feeling great. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm just hungry all the time. I'm really hungry all the time. I get hangry really easily. So there's that. Austin, if he's still in the chat, I'm sure he has something to say about that. Yeah, I'm always hungry. Maybe a little grumpy. I've been like really busy, I feel like. Even Heather and I haven't even been able to talk a ton because I've literally been like going everywhere. I've been going to my local quilt shop a lot. They had their 1st year anniversary party the other night, and I went to go take pictures and stuff because I am their social media person now. And so I've just been really trying to do a good job there and make them happy. So we still have a little bit of time, so I'm going to cut out my templates. I miss you too, and I feel so bad about, like, I'm so ready to get putting together that test quilt because it's so freaking cute. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. I need to stop saying yes to everything. Is anyone else a yes person? I never say no. And I say yes to a lot of things along the way, even though I have like things that I probably should be doing. Oh, sorry. Ooh, mashed taters. That sounds delicious. We had baked potatoes and steak and cottage cheese last night. I don't know what we're gonna have tonight. We have like a coupon to get some pizza, so maybe we'll do that. Yeah, see, I know you'd understand, Heather. I know you're a yes person too. And tomorrow I have a class. I didn't realize this class was like all day long, guys. Like, I knew it was in the morning, and I just got an email, and it's going to be 9:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening. So I'm sorry, Austin. He's going to be hanging out with the kids all day. I apologize. Ooh, I love taters. I love them. So big question. Do you peel your potatoes first, or do you make your mashed potatoes with the skins in? Also, do you like lumpy potatoes or like smooth? No lumps at all. Bum, 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 bum. Lynn said she's a yes person too. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Let's hope this Christmas light one goes a little bit better, because I was honestly like, oh no, my points are not matching up. This one's gonna go better. I just feel it. I feel it. I'm labeling them now. So if you have your patterns cut out and ready, but they're not labeled yet, take the time to do that. Peel. No texture preference, but no peels, please. Yes, the peels, no. They cannot, the skin cannot be in there. Usually peel and like mine anyway, but will be smooth today. And adding cream cheese, that sounds delicious. I am not a yes person. So if I say yes, I really mean it. Well, yeah, I mean it too. But then I get in trouble because, like, I get stuff done by a deadline usually. Like, I'm really, really good at that. But it's when I keep adding like 20 things into the schedule and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to get it done. But like if it doesn't have a deadline, it takes a little bit longer. Yes, if it is mashed, no. If it is a crushed potato, what is a crushed potato? If I had some half and half, I would use that too. Oh, we've got whole milk, so we always use whole milk too. I'm going to use the same fabric that I used last time, earlier this week. So I'm going to use this really pretty green for the Christmas light fabric. I'm going to use my absolute favorite low volume from the same line. This is all from Christmas morning. And then I've gotta learn how to say no. I know. But also it's like, it's not every time I say yes is like coming out of like a place of pressure. Sometimes I really am just like excited to do something, but then I like don't think, you know. All right, and then there's the black that I'm going to be using for the cord. So Christmas light, background, black. So for my labels, I used BG for background, CL for Christmas lights, and then B for black. Saying yes out loud, but my head is saying no, no, no. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can relate. Well, I signed up for a Christmas swap, and so, I mean, I have until November, so I have I have a lot of time. Like, I don't know why I can't ever talk when I come live, but then I have a test quilt that Heather has been patiently waiting for me to do, like, forever, and so I've been dying to do that, but I got some personal sewing in, like I had the scrap party blocks to do, I had that clover that I was working on, I had that custom that came in that I sent out to Florida, so it's like, you never know what's going to come along the way after you say yes to something, but, you know, did you sign up for the Disney swap? I did not sign up for the Disney swap, and I feel like you should be proud of me because honestly, I thought it'd be really fun, but I'm doing that Christmas swap already, and then I have, like, you know, your tests that I really, really want to get started on. Like, I have been dying to, so I knew if I signed up for the Disney swap, it would just, like, prolong me getting work done, and so I decided not to. Hi, Janine! How are you today? How do swaps work? So, every swap is different. They'll have different guidelines, different deadlines, stuff like that. They'll have different ways of how you're paired up. Some swaps, you'll know who you're paired with. So sometimes it'll be like a direct match, like you both are making for each other. The one that I'm doing right now for Christmas, I'm making something for someone, but that person is not making something for me. Someone else is making me something. So I thought that was really cool. But usually you sign up. Some of them have like a sign up fee. Usually it's not that bad, like $5 or so. And then they give you all of the guidelines. Like they tell you, okay, you have to make this, you have to, a lot of the times they'll say, why don't you ask, or they'll have you fill out like a form, like what are your favorite things? What are your favorite colors? Do you have like specific designers or collections that you like? That way, when your partner is assigned, when they get you or whatever, they kind of have something to go off of. So when they're making something for you, they're using things that you like. So that's really cool about most swaps. But yeah, it's kind of like that. And then you'll have a deadline and you'll get their address and you send it out to them. And then you get something back. So it's really fun. If you haven't done one, I definitely recommend doing it. It's a fun way to connect with people, other quilters that maybe you never would have met, because usually they're like international, or, you know, within the country maybe, but the one I'm doing is international, and I've done several that are international. So I did one for, who was it? Happy So Lucky, and it was those We Women quilt blocks that you guys saw me showing off a few months ago, and I had a group of like 6 ladies, and we all made like 6 blocks or something, and then like kept one for ourselves and sent them out. It was something like that. But I had people in Switzerland, in the UK, in London. I had people all over the world. So that was really, really cool. All right. We've got about 15 minutes left until it starts. So I feel weird. Here, why don't I switch the camera since we're not started yet. We'll wait for people since I said I would do this at 12. I don't want anyone to miss out and then be upset or bummed. So I'll switch this so you guys can actually see my face while I'm chatting with you and you're not looking at my hands or something. So yeah, crushed potatoes are new pots cooked in their skins, squashed down with butter and pepper. Ooh, I saw a reel of those. You take like a glass thing and you smash them and then you put them back in the oven, right? And then I saw them like taking them and dipping them in ranch. That looked good. Saying no takes practice, and it's especially hard for people pleasers. Oh my gosh. So true. So true. I actually had to put the Halloween fabric in my armoire because I felt so guilty. I saw it like sitting at my table for so long. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get there. And then someone asked me if I could do something. And I was like, sure. Yeah. But I knew Heather would understand because she is such a sweetheart. And I figured since Halloween is still, like, we've still got some time, I'm still going to have time to make it well before Halloween. So once I get done with Donna's letters, then I will start that, and then I will complete all my Christmas stuff after. Because it's just July, right? You know, I'll do hers first, and then I'll move on to finishing this up and sending it out. And then, I think in a few days here, we'll have the long arm delivered. And so I'll be working feverishly on that, trying to learn the software, trying to learn the mechanics and everything. I have like a 3-hour training session coming up. So I have to like schedule that to learn everything that I need to know. So I've got a lot going on. I just feel like I've been so, there's so much going on. It's so hard to focus on everything sometimes. That's why last night I came down here and I was working on those letters, those numbers, those number blocks. And I was like, you know what? I do love going live, but maybe tonight I'll just watch something and like relax a little bit. Because I was working on all the curved ones. Where did those go? I was working on all these curved ones. And this black fabric is almost like, I don't know. It's definitely like, it feels like spandex. It's very stretchy. And so I really had to focus on the curves to get the fabric to work. But I'm going to use it all. I'm not going to like switch it up because I want it to be consistent. But it did take some more focus. So I was like, you know, if I go live, this is going to take me forever because I start getting crazy in the chat. I have way too much fun talking to you guys. And then I don't get anything done. And so I got 2 blocks done last night. They both took about 30, 40 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. So that's what I did. Haha, I feel that. Just waiting for everyone to hop in. 10 more minutes. And then we'll get started. And I'll switch the camera back to overhead. And we can get going. We're going to start. We're just going to go in alphabetical order. So we're going to go A, B, C, D, and E. So get your A pieces out and ready to go. Beth, I met a few ladies at a 5 and Dime yesterday. Quilters they were. So I asked if they were long arm quilters, and the one lady said yes. She said go for the better machine. Yeah, I'm glad we went, like, there were 3 options. So the Moxie, the Simply 16, and the Amara. Obviously there were machines past the Amara, but like the Amara is like perfect. You know, it's got the throat space, it's got the frame or whatever, like a 12-foot frame option. Pretty sure you can put the Simply 16 on a 12-foot frame, I think, but you can't put the Pro Stitcher light on a 12-foot frame. So that was like the holdup because we were like, well, we could just get the middle one and put it on a 12-foot frame and get the Pro Stitcher light, and it'll save all this money and it'll be great. Nope, we called and they're like, no, you can't put it on the loft frame or whatever. So we were like, okay, I guess that means we have to pull the trigger, either decide to do it or not. And like, we thought for days, we deliberated for days, and we're like, you know what, the Amara is like the best option, and if we want to make this a business and we want to do the edge to edge, then the Pro Stitcher is like, you've got to do it, you know? So I'm just hoping that business like takes off. I'm gonna like start going to guild meetings nearby. I like did some research and I found a few nearby that I can start going to, and so hopefully I can kind of like meet some other quilters in the area and see if they want some long arming. We'll see. When is it getting installed? I don't know. I need to message her and ask like what the for sure delivery date is, but when I asked her the other day, she said 7 to 10 days, which I'm gonna text her right now and ask her if she's got. Hey, Patty. Because we have to move some stuff around. We've got a fish tank, we've got a dog kennel, we've got a TV cabinet or whatever. We might have to move the TV over just a smidge because it's like right in the middle of the wall, and I'm thinking that we might have to move it or like take it off the wall, and then once the machine is put where it needs to, then we can reposition the TV, because I still want to have a TV. I still want the couches down here. The couches are probably gonna have to move a little bit closer this way, which is fine. This is still my little nook. It's gonna work fine, but we have some rearranging to do, so I definitely would love like a for sure date so I have things ready and we're not like going crazy when they show up. Beth, I'm excited about some fabric I bought. It's FPP by the yard. Ooh, I bought 2 yards each of a pattern called Kaleidoscope, and the other is a triangle pattern. Ooh, that sounds awesome. It's FPP by the yard. Is it like on a roll, Janine? Like triangles on a roll? I think I will be getting the Amara when I get back from my trip out to Oregon. Ooh, that's so exciting. Then we can learn together. Yeah, we're like scared. We're excited, we're scared, we're nervous, but it's gonna be okay. We're gonna work it, we're gonna make it work. We are going to work it and make it work. 6 more minutes and then we can get started. Yeah, I think after we're done with this block, I'm gonna switch gears, and depending on if the kids are up or not, we'll just see. It took about an hour or whatever to do this the other night. So if they're still awake, no, wait, I'm at the store. You're early. Yeah, no, I'm not getting started until noon. I'm sorry. I just wanted to come in and like chat with you guys for a little bit before I got started. No, it's like your FPP, but on fabric instead of paper. Ooh, that sounds really interesting. I'm sorry. Came into the stream just now and subscribed last month. So you purchased a long arm? Are you going to long arm? Yes. So that's the dream. I've been already doing custom quilts like locally, and like word of mouth. I've even like mailed out custom quilts to like Georgia and Florida and like a few other places. I can't even remember, but so I've done that for a while, but I've been really wanting to, well, greetings. Hello, Anne. Oregon coast. Wow, that's awesome. It's beautiful out there. Yeah, so I want to start long arming as well. I want to have that be something where people can send me their quilts. Either, you know, they send them in the mail or locally. That would be awesome. I would love to be doing some some edge to edge for you guys. I'm crying in the middle of Target. LOL, headed home now. It's all good. No, Amy. Sending you a hug. It's all good. You've got a head start. I've seen your Christmas blocks, okay? You're good. Drive safe. No hurried driving, okay? It's just FPP. So yeah, I would love to start long arming. That's kind of like the point. Like I have the cutie frame, and you guys have seen me do that a few times. And I really love the cutie frame, but there's a lot of repositioning. Like it takes forever to make a quilt, to quilt a quilt on there. And so the dream was always, you know, one day get a long arm, one day, and we just never thought it was possible. And then with the help of our mother-in-law and our father-in-law, who we are like so thankful and blessed that they were like in the position to help, and they were wanting to help, and they were happy to help. They believed in us to help. with their help, we were able to make it work, and so it's gonna be awesome. I'll be back hopefully. Gotta help the Munchkin with some stuff. Bye, Heather. See you in a little bit. So yeah, if you guys have any quilts that you want to send my way, please do. I know Christine sent me a really, really pretty one that she's like, whenever you're ready, I'll send it your way. And it's a beautiful tulip quilt. So I'm really, really excited. I'm going to practice and make sure I know all the software and like all the troubleshooting before I do that. So I'm really looking forward to doing her quilt. It's going to be so fun. LOL. It's just a 10-minute drive. Amy, you're fine. You got this. You've already done these blocks too. You know what's going on. So yeah, if anyone has a quilt that they want to send my way, please do. I would just love it. You're helping, my dream come true. Like, I want to build a business. We filed for like an LLC. So Goody Goods is now an LLC. I eventually want to open an Etsy. And so while I'm practicing, I'm going to make a lot of quilts. I'm going to quilt stuff that I have hanging out. And then I'm going to post it in my Etsy for people to purchase if they want it. So, and then also I've got the patterns. So I really want to continue making FPP patterns. I've done a few so far. I haven't done a ton, but I want to start putting those in an Etsy as well. So if anyone's interested in purchasing some of my patterns, they can. And all of that will just go towards, financing the long arm and working towards something that I've wanted to do. Hi, Crystal. All right, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Amy is like, she is probably doing like some fast and furious driving, even though it's a 10-minute drive. Even though she already has so many blocks done. And she picked really pretty fabrics, everybody. If you're not in the Discord, she shared a few pictures yesterday, I believe. And she has these really pretty, like, turquoise blue Christmas blocks. Oh my god, they're so pretty. So pretty. All right, so let's do a supply check, okay? Let's make sure you have everything set up. You're ready to go. All right? Fire up the machine. All right, first things first, get your templates ready. Make sure you have them printed out and trimmed out and labeled them. And labeled. So make sure you label background, Christmas light. I do abbreviations. So BG for background, CL for Christmas lights, and B for black. So that's really helpful. Make sure you've got your add a quarter plus ruler or a ruler that you can easily see 1/4 inch, your rotary cutter, a glue stick, fabric scissors. And then make sure that your stitch length on your sewing machine is set to 1.5 or lower before you start stitching on it. Another great thing to have nearby is some masking tape in case you need to seam rip, and your friend Jack. So make sure you got all of those nearby, and also a straight edge. I know a lot of you are going to be using the straight edge on your ruler. That's fine. Everybody does something different. I like to use a card. It's smaller. It fits in my hand a little bit better. And yeah, so make sure you have all of those things ready. Oh, and also a hot iron ready to go. Whether you're using an iron, your fingers for finger pressing, or a little seam roller, whatever you're going to be using to bring those seams down, just set them down, get that out and ready. And then once you have all of that ready to go, give me like your favorite emoji in the chat. Send me like your favorite most used emoji in the chat, and that'll tell me that you guys are ready to get going. For those of you who are sewing along with me, what is your favorite emoji? Ha ha ha, I'm just now starting the car. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Drive safe, Amy. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay, let's make sure this is, there we go. All right, if you're ready to go, give me an emoji in the chat. Give me a thumbs up or your favorite emoji. Janine sent a really nice heart emoji. I really love that one. The one surrounded by hearts. So cute. All right, so Janine's ready to go. Christine's ready to go. She sent a fun winky tongue face. That's one of her favorites. Patty sent a... That's a fun one, too. Wait, your fabric store had a sale on fabric? What? That's that face right there. That's like a good discount face right there. Or that's a, I just got a long arm. Oh my gosh. What the heck am I going to do? All right, we've got some ladies ready to go. Hello, Maddie. She's ready to go. So I'm going to switch out my camera because I want you guys to really see what's going on, especially if you're new to FPP. I want to make sure you see what's going on. So goodbye for now. I'm going to switch it to where you see a different view. It's very nice talking to you. And when we're all done, I'll switch it back. And I might stay on for a little bit and work on some of Donna's blocks, so we can hang out a little bit longer as well. If you can't stay that long, no worries. I just thought I'm already going to be on. Why not? All right. We are going to start. It's 12:02. We're 2 minutes late. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to start with A. Let me zoom in a little bit. I want to really make sure that you are able to see what's going on here. Whoa. There we go. Okay, so grab your A piece. I know that this font is like very, very small, okay? This is your A1, A2, A3. Are we following? And we've labeled it. If we're all nice and, and ready to go, we should have these labeled. That way we know what's going where. If you don't have it labeled, just pay attention, follow along with me, and my label should help you out a little bit. Okay, so A1 is where we're going to start, and that is our Christmas light fabric. It's abbreviated CL, so I know that I'm going to be picking out this fabric. This is what I'm going to be using today. This is from Christmas Morning from Lilla Boutique. It is my all-time favorite Christmas fabric, and so what I'm going to do is iron it a little bit. So make sure that your fabric is nice and flat. There's no crazy crinkles going on, because those crinkles will stay in your block and you don't want that, okay? Let me move this stuff out of the way. Okay, so there's our block. We are wanting to make sure that we have enough of this fabric to cover A1 and give us a 1/4 inch all the way around this shape. So you'll see right here this dotted line on the outside of your template or whatever. That's your 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? So that helps you with the 1/4 inch this way. But you really need to pay attention to a 1/4 inch this way and a 1/4 inch this way. This is going to give you something to sew A2 on and A3 on to connect to A1. And so what we're going to do is we're going to like lay our thing on there and kind of eyeball and see like, okay, I know I need to cut at least like, you know, a square about this big. And so eyeball it. You guys are going to hear me say this 1,000 times. You're going to want to smack me, and I apologize, but always cut bigger than you think you're going to need, especially if you're just starting out in FPP. Nothing is worse than cutting something and it's not too big, okay? So I have something, I cut out a little shape, something that looks like this, and a great way to see if it's big enough, and you guys are going to see it's definitely big enough. I'm going to lay it on top of the block. I don't see any of my lines. I don't see that shape. I know that that is completely covered. I think that's going to be great. There's a lot of extra, and that's okay. Most of the times with FPP, at least for me, is I am using scraps. So I don't care if there's a little bit of waste because it's already something that I've used in a different project. Okay? First piece on any FPP is going face down. Face down, okay? Every other block after A1 will be face up. But for right now, A1 is face down. And then we are going to look at our sheet, okay? It's kind of hard for you guys to see right now. Let me do like a little like flashlight moment. Do you see the lines coming through the back of the page? And I can see A1 that way, right? I'm going to put glue right in that spot, all right? And this is where if you have specialty paper, it's really helpful. Sorry, I'm trying, there we go. It's really helpful to have that paper because it's thinner and you can see those lines a lot easier through the back of your paper. I'm using copy paper because I figured that some of you guys, if you're not doing FPP, you might not have that special paper. So I thought I'll show them that they can do copy paper. But there are a lot of benefits to getting, you know, Carol Doakes paper or freezer paper or newsprint or Quiet Play has some paper. There are a lot of options out there. I really do love Carol Doakes paper, so if you're looking for a recommendation, I would start there. All right, so we just laid our block on there, and I know that that fabric is completely covering A1, and I've got a 1/4 inch. You can like pull it up. I definitely have a 1/4 inch. way over a 1/4 inch. I've got some there. I've got plenty of room there, okay? So now we're going to go to A2. What line connects A1 and A2? What line connects these two? It's going to be this line right here. So we're going to line up our little straight edge just a little bit below it and fold it down. Give it a nice crease. Grab your ruler or your add a 1/4 plus. Put it to where it's like catching onto that fold. This is why this ruler is so great. It's got that really nice beveled edge and it just catches it. That's a perfect 1/4 inch right there, okay? I know for sure this is a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to slice it, and then I'm going to look for the fabric that is supposed to be A2, which is BG, so that tells me it's my background color, or my background fabric, which is this beautiful low volume from Lella Boutique. Absolutely adore this fabric. It's so gorgeous. I may have gone a little bit overboard and bought a lot of it last year. Not bad. And if I see it even now, I'll be like, yep, I need it. I need it because she makes beautiful florals and this low volume. Oh my goodness, gorgeous. So like we did before, make sure you give it a nice little iron. I'm going to zoom out just a tad. That way you can see the whole shebang. Okay, so this is the piece of fabric that I cut out. It's huge. Don't worry about it, okay? Because most likely we'll be able to use the other half of it on a different piece. So not a big deal, all right? I'm going to find a way to position this to where this shape right here, because this is the back of A2, is fitting inside this fabric. So if you can tell, right about here, do you see how this piece of paper is coming out of that fabric? That means that it's not covering completely. Oh, no worries, Lynn, no worries. You can get it printed out and jump in, okay? You can jump in on the other pieces. I also have a tutorial from earlier last week, and you can watch the replay there or watch the replay here. All right, now look at what I've done. So I repositioned it. I can definitely tell that this right here is completely covered by this bottom fabric. You can lift it up, okay? There's a lot of room. So I am going to take this on over to my sewing machine and sew it. Make sure that your stitch length is set to 1.5 or lower before you start this step. So that is very important. There's only a few rules in FPP. Shorten stitch length, and your first piece always being face down. This is what it looks like right after you sew that line. It looks like your fabric's upside down. Oh no! Don't you worry. Your fabric looks like this right now, but what happens if we flip it over on itself? And we just kind of give it a nice little tug right on that stitch line. You can finger press at this point or get your seam roller or whatever you prefer to do, but I'm going to take it on over. I've got my little iron right over here. You just can't see it. And I'm going to give it a press. I'm not going to iron it like a crazy wacko. I'm just going to slightly tug that fabric back on that stitch line, nice and taut, and I'm going to press it. On my way out to the pool, but I wanted to say hi everyone, and I will check replay. Bye! Have a good time at the pool, Diolinda. All right. You're brave for going to the pool right now. Oh my gosh. I'm not a fan of being. Hi, Kathy. All right, this is what we've got right now. We're going to flip it back over. Make sure that this stuff, what you just did, doesn't like flat back over when you're doing it. That's going to mess you up. So make sure that when you flip it back over, everything is laying nice and flat. This is going to make sure that you don't have any weird cutoffs and you don't mess up. So now you're going to put your straight edge on the line that connects A2 to A3. A2 to A3 would be this line right here. And these blocks are a little bit easy. There's only 2 lines. So it's the line that you haven't sewn on yet. But you always are that's gonna be a good practice to figure out what lines to sew on. Sometimes that can be really confusing when you're first starting out. So just look for those lines that connect, you know, 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, 4 to 5. You want to go in numerical order. It's 85.90, LOL. Family friend's house is so relaxing. Oh, cool. It's a nice lake house pool. That sounds fun. I'm not a huge fan of public pools. They give me too much anxiety. Had a busy working week last week and came down with a summer cold Thursday and Friday. Forgot we were starting this project. Oh, no worries, Lynn. No worries at all. Do you need the link to the pattern? Because I can find that for you real quick. Post it. You could get it printed out and you could join in on our next block. The other blocks are fairly simple. They don't take that long. Honestly, putting the whole thing together is what takes the most time. All right, so A3 is our next piece. All right, we trimmed our seam allowance after we made our fold. Every time you make that fold, trim your seam allowance to 1/4 inch. And then look, okay, this is a BG, another background. So I'm gonna get my fabric out. I'm gonna give it a nice little iron so it's nice and flat. I don't want any crazy wrinkled fabric in my FPP projects. You don't want that texture. I guess that would be kind of a cool element if you intentionally did it for like a, you know, a design artistic choice, but no, but thanks, have it downloaded. Okay, perfect. All right, now we're gonna lay our fabric or our template down on. This is face up. I know it's a low volume, it might be kind of confusing. Every other piece after the first is face up always, okay? So I'm gonna lay my template on there. I'm going to make sure that this whole shape right here, this whole shape of A3 is covered by fabric underneath. The very bottom layer that you just laid down face up, I want to make sure it encloses this whole shape right here. It does, so I'm going to take it on over, give it a nice little pinch so it doesn't move and shift while you move it on over to your sewing machine, and then give it a nice little sew on the line. Hello, Mary. We are headed to Edgerton for some blackberries. We'll catch you on the replay. Oh, awesome. I haven't done the blackberries. We've done a lot of the strawberries each year in Lawrence. Have you tried that yet? All right. Again, this is what it looks like after you sew on that line. Let's flip it over. And this is what it should look like. Again, it's a low volume. It's kind of confusing, but before you do anything, this should be wrong sides right now. And then when you flip it on over on itself, look at that. Right sides up. Perfect. That's what we want to see. So finger press, seam roll, iron, whatever you want to do. Hello. How are you doing today? All right, and this is what your block looks like now. Let's flip it over. Make sure that your pieces are flat where you iron them and they're not flip-flopping it over. So this is what it looks like. This is way too much fabric on the outside. Oh, no. So what I like to do is I grab this handy-dandy ruler by Nancy Crow. It's called Quicklime. I'm not sure that these are still in production, but I believe she has something similar out right now, or something that you can find on Amazon that might have just like 1/4 inch lines. Look at all of those 1/4 inch lines. They're beautiful. And so what I do is I line up my 1/4 inch line on the solid line. We do not want to cut off our 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? So you really want to make sure that you are not cutting off the 1/4 inch seam allowance. I line my 1/4 inch right on the solid line of the block and slice it. Just slice it right off. And save these because they will come in handy on future blocks. Those are some good scraps right there. If not for this project, for a project down the road. That's why I really like FPP. Some find it wasteful, but honestly, I save a lot of my scraps from FPP and I use them in other projects. So I think it's not, you know, I don't really think it's wasteful. It can be, but, you know, it just depends on, are you throwing everything away? Or are you keeping it and repurposing it or using it in a different project, you know. So we're trimming all the way around our block. Back from making my taters, washing, and putting the dishes away. Mashed potatoes. It's always funny, whenever me and my mom were sick growing up, that was what we would eat. We'd have mashed potatoes and cottage cheese. All right, this is what our block looks like. That was simple enough, wasn't it? Hi, trying to paper piece. You've got this, Maddie. You've got this. Waiting for my foundation paper and stuff to come back, and we'll have to get it when I get back from Oregon. No worries. All right, so this is what that is going to look like if you did it right. So let's move on to B. We're just going to go in alphabetical order today. All right, this is what B looks like. So put this somewhere where you're not going to lose it. It's another 3-part, 1, 2, 3. Christmas lights being in the middle and background fabrics being on the side. So we are starting on 1 like we do on every foundation paper block. You always start at 1 and go all the way across. Patty, thank you. It's not that part that gets tricky. It's when you start joining them. I don't know why, but my point was so off earlier this week. Ugh, mashed potatoes and gravy. You guys, you better stop. I didn't really have lunch, and that's sounding delicious. Sounds so good. Can we talk about baked potatoes too? Baked potatoes are some good stuff. Okay, so take some of those scraps. Say you had scraps from block A, or if you have to recut some, that's fine as well. And kind of lay it over B1 and make sure you've got a big enough piece of fabric. This is like obnoxiously big, so this is going to be great. All right, and this is the first piece, okay? This is B1. So what happens with this one? Is this right sides down or right sides up? Do we know? Let's see if someone can put it in the chat. If you're doing this along with us, on the first piece of every block, is this right sides up or right sides down when I lay it on my mat? Do 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 do. Bum ba-dum bum 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 bum. All right, I'm gonna give the answer. I'm waiting for someone in the chat to tell me the first piece of this block. Is it right sides up or right sides down? Do we know? Lay it right sides down. Christine she's got it. She's an FPP rock star. Maddie, you were close. The first piece of every block. So B1, A1, C1, Z1. T1, whatever it is, the first block is always right sides down. Again, this is a low volume, so let me flip it over. This is my right sides. It's down. Then we're going to get our glue stick. Oh, you're fine, Maddie. You're fine. Hey, now you know. Now you know. Sometimes, like in school and everything, whenever I would get something wrong, that was like when I would learn it. Like I would have that memory, and I could always look back. So maybe this will help you. Now you know. Patty said face up. It's face down. That first piece is face down, okay? So because let me try to explain that so it makes sense, okay? We are working on the underneath of our block, essentially, right? We are sewing this block together from the underneath. And so when we flip this over, look at that. Everything else is being sewn onto this. Did you notice in A1 or in A? So right here, look, if we flap these over, this is how it was, right? We had to flip over A3 and we had to flip over these because they were sewn on to here. This was face out. Everything else, we did this little flippy flip. We were sewing on the underneath. So we were always sewing the mirror of what that is. So I hope that makes sense. But you don't do the flippy flip on one, okay? Everything's being sewed on to one. Grab your straight edge, put it underneath that line, fold it back, trim your seam allowance. No worries, you guys, no worries. And do you take your tiny pieces to make crumb blocks? Oh, that's a great idea. I have not really done a lot of crumb block piecing or anything like that. I think it's really, really cool. I just saved my small ones for other blocks, other patterns. And then I've also thought about, since I do amigurumi, I haven't done it in a while, but once I get back into that, you can use those tiny little things as fillers. So you could use them in pillows. You could use them in dog beds. You could, you know, they add up. So first down, like football. All the rest are face up. Oh, that's a great analogy, Kathleen. First down, like football. That's genius. I love that. All right, so B2 is Christmas light fabric again. I'm trying to like find a position for this. I'm just going to cut another piece of fabric, or another piece off this fabric right here. Again, I'm cutting bigger than I think I need, okay? So you could lay your block on here and be like, oh, okay. Hold on, let me move that. You could lay it there, and I'm trying to find something that's going to be a big enough size for B2. So I'm going to cut this little piece. All right, and then since it's the second piece, we are doing face up. Okay, okie dokie. Okay, so let me show you, because this is really hard to see because I'm using copy paper, so it's a lot thicker and you can't see those lines underneath. This is B2. I need to make sure that this green fabric on the very, very bottom covers it. So you can like lift this up. You could lift it up and like put it down and see. There's like a way to check it. You could also pick this whole thing up and put it up to your window, put it at a light box, get your flashlight on your phone going. There's a lot of things you can do. So I'm going to go sew this, and this is also a tricky thing, okay? Since this was like a weird angled piece, I had to angle it on my piece of fabric. So do you see this extra fabric hanging out in the seam allowance that we already trimmed? You could either trim that off right now, or you could sew it, bring it over, and clip it then. To avoid confusion, because sometimes we might do silly things when we're starting, and we might flip it over and then cut it. We'll just trim it right now. Perfect. Now let's take it over, pinch it with your fingers, bring it over to your sewing machine, and sew on that line. I made it! Yay! Amy's here! Hallelujah! 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 Okay. See, and I worked ahead. I'm sorry. This is what it looks like when you sew it, and then you flip it on over on itself. Give it a nice little finger press, and then now we're going to flip it on over. Then we're going to find the line that connects B2 to B3, and we're going to put our straight edge right underneath it and fold it down. Then we're going to trim our seam allowance. Sorry guys, I'm really trying to make sure this is a good view for you guys. It's harder than you think. It's a very funky setup sometimes. Boop. Trimmed our seam allowance. I think that no crumblocks. Yeah, it's just too much. And if I did that, I would hold on to everything and I would never throw anything away, and then I would just hate myself because then I would look and there'd be so much fabric everywhere. It would drive me crazy. Not that, you know, a ton of fabric's a bad thing, but a ton of scraps can get very, very overwhelming. Okay, so I have a little scrap right here that I think is going to be perfect. Let me scoot this down. Again, sometimes I like to just lay my block, lay my fabric, and test it and see, can I cover up that? Yep, I think that's going to work. I'm going to give it a little iron because it was kind of wrinkly. I have a question. My third block turned out a little wavy. I lowered my stitch length a little more before I did the block. Could that have caused it? I checked all my lines and it was all on point. A little wavy. What kind of paper were you using? Sometimes that happens to me too. So we're going to try and position this to fit that whole block. And again, do you see that weird, this fabric, since it's at a different angle, hanging out in your seam allowance that you just trimmed? Fear not. Get your handy dandy ruler out and trim that 1/4 inch. Doing it now will help you not be confused when you get done sewing it, because we're in the habit of sewing and flipping. So if you accidentally flipped it and then trimmed, that could get confusing. So let's take this FPP paper. Can't remember what it's called. That's interesting. I'm not really sure what causes it. I've had that issue as well. Sometimes it depends on like your pieces. Like if you have really big sections of fabric, there you go. That's what it looks like. Sometimes your fabric can like bubble up off of your paper, and then you sew it down, and then like it distorts the paper a little bit. That happens a lot to me when I have really big sections of fabric and I try to like attach it, but it won't lay completely flat. So a way that might help is taking your bigger sections of fabric and then taking your glue stick and putting some on the paper and making sure it lays flat before you sew something onto it, because sometimes that fabric can pop up, like even like this, and then if you sew something onto it, then your paper gets weird, your fabric's weird. So that might be what caused it. That does happen to me, and I feel like that's what causes it every time for me. Now it may be something different for your case, maybe just something funky happened, but most of the time it's because my fabric shifted before I added onto it. All right, now we're gonna trim all the way around. Thank you, Maddie. This fabric is just my favorite. Every time I say that, you all get a 1/4, okay? How many times do you have to hear me say I love Christmas morning fabric by Lila Boutique? I apologize. It's just so pretty. Her whole line. You can search it. I'll pull out my fabric and show you some other fabrics from that line if you're not familiar with it, just so you can drool over it with me. Again, when you're trimming on the dotted line, on it, okay? You're not trimming on, let's get into focus, come on. We are not trimming on the solid line, because if we did, we would lose our seam allowance. Oh no! So really make sure that you keep that 1/4 inch going all the way around. That dashed line is what's marking that for us. So there we go. Look at that. We could lay it over on like a little design mat if we wanted. That is the start of our pretty little Christmas light. Hopefully today I can get my points to match up a little bit better. All right, let's go on to C. This is what C looks like. It's another just 3-part block. I don't know why my camera's not focusing, but so we've got background, and then B tells me that this is the wire. Like you could put W too if you're using something like a different color for your wire. I put B for black because I know that my wire or my cord is going to be black. So I'm going to start with black. La la. Okay, I will be mindful of the bigger pieces. Oh, thank you, Donna. Will the block work itself out when I sew the blocks together, or should I remake the block? It's not horrible, just a little wavy instead. When you take the paper out and you just iron that thing, you'll notice if it's starting to wave up. Once you take the paper out and you iron it, you'll see that you'll have some extra fabric. Just push it, like try to like migrate it over into the seam. It's gonna be okay. I just think it's you have a little extra fabric because it expanded, you know, off the paper. It came off the paper, so you had more than you needed when you sewed something on to that. But it works out. It'll be fine. You might just have like a little bubble of fabric. I like to just move it on over towards my seam line. Hello, Donna. After I'm done here, I'm going to make some more progress on your blocks. I showed them off earlier. All right, Do you see how obnoxiously big that is in comparison to literally the whole block? That's okay. I've got plenty of this black fabric that I pulled from my fat quarters. So I'm not too worried about it. Again, I just stress this upon you. If you're just starting out, please cut bigger. Don't try to worry yourself with trying to cut the perfect, that plus a 1/4 inch everywhere. Just cut bigger. It's going to be okay. Okay, got it. That makes perfect sense. Thank you. You're welcome, Amy. Hello, Donna. How are you today? Okay. All right, let's do this again. Kathleen had a wonderful analogy, okay? It's just like football. First down. So C1 is always going to be face down. As you can tell, this is a solid. So this is like a nice cheat block. It doesn't matter really what way it's working. So if you're just starting out with FPP, that's another great suggestion. Work with batiks. Work with solids. Work with something that there's no definite right sides up, right sides down. If that's tripping you up right now, just work with some solids. Work with some batiks. That way you can kind of get into it and not be scared off by some of the printed fabrics, okay? Hello, June. All right, we're going to grab our handy dandy glue stick and we're going to put some glue, just a dollop of it, behind C1. So put it up to your window. Again, this is copy paper, so it's a little harder to see through, at least on the camera. If I was using foundation paper, it'd be easier for you guys to see, but I wanted to show you that you can do this with copy paper. You don't have to buy the foundation paper. It is expensive, I understand. We have budgets, especially in the quilting craft. Everything is so expensive, so especially if you're trying this out, don't go out and buy crazy expensive paper. What if you don't even like FPP? Not everyone likes it. That's completely fine. Use some cheap copy paper. Hello, everyone following along here, Beth. Yay! Are you making the block too, Donna? Donna has been fearless in her FPP journey. All right, so we folded our line, folded it over, got our seam allowance trimmed, and now we're going to look for a background piece that's going to enclose C2 with a 1/4 inch going out to the sides and then a 1/4 inch into C1. That way you actually have something to sew onto, right? Seam allowances are very important. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to making sure we have enough fabric to cover everything. When I started out with FPP, see how I'm laying this on there? I'm seeing if this piece can adequately fit this whole thing. You're fine, Heather. We're on to our 3rd piece, but you can always catch the replay and jump in, okay? I'm actually planning on just staying on after this. I don't think I'm going to make another one of these blocks, but I have some work to do on some of Donna's blocks, so I might just hang out here so you can catch up and I can answer any questions anybody has if you are catching in late, okay? So this is C2. We are making sure it's face up, and we are going to find a way to position this fabric so that I can fit this whole piece of fabric. Sometimes this is the hardest part, just like, how do I cover this? And I sometimes don't like to fuss with it, so instead I'm going to take this piece of scrap that's laying around. I'm going to cut it down a little bit. Obnoxiously big! I just saw Addington's little head poke out from the stairs. Yikes. Okay, so face up, lay your piece on there. Look at how easy that is. You see how I have a ton extra right there? Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Let's bring it on over to here. Addington, I see you. I know you're not napping. You are not fooling anybody. And then stitch on that line 1.5 stitch length or lower. If you're just joining us, make sure that your sewing machine is set up to the stitch length that we want. This is right after sewing it. Huh? I know you didn't take a nap. I know that you did not. This is what it looks like on the back side. You're going to take that piece of fabric that you just sewn on and flip it over on itself. Make sure you get that a nice straight line. I like to tug it a little bit, not to where you're like popping stitches out or anything crazy, but just so it's a nice straight top line. And then I like to bring it over to my iron and just give it a nice press. What, Addington? You had quiet time? That's great. Well, I'm doing something right now. Go find something to do quietly because your sisters are sleeping. Okay, go play with your trucks quietly in your room. Are you playing with them in the living room? Okay, that's fine. Quietly. Oh my gosh. Okay, Eddington. I swear, guys, this is why I sew at night. Never a moment. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to C3. I see some people hopping in. Hello. Sheila, how are you doing? All right, and sometimes this happens too. So if you can see, I'm trying to fold my paper back, but it's stuck. So my glue line, especially since it was just a really thin line, is kind of on C3, and I can't get that fold perfectly on the line. No worries, tug it back. Tug it off the glue a little bit. Don't rip your paper, but you can take it back a little bit. And then fold it on that line. Trim your 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then get your fabric ready for C3, which is another background section. Again, obnoxiously big. It's okay. We are learning. Most of us are just learning. So always cut bigger. Allow yourself some wiggle room. I know that the fabric that I have underneath here completely encloses this shape right here. Completely encloses this shape. That is C3. That is the underneath of that. Okay, serious question. What is the most obnoxious toy under $25 you can find for a 1-year-old? I have about 2.5 months till a little one's birthday, and it's time to get back at my brother. Okay, here you go. Heather, if you haven't gotten it yet, that dang popper toy. It's like a stick, and it's got the dang balls in it, and they move it around the carpet, and it goes pop, 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 pop. That is the most obnoxious toy under $25 for a 1-year-old. So it's perfect if he's just starting to walk. Honestly, funny story, this is sidetracking, but Austin and I, we were at Walmart one day, and we were trying to buy one of those for either Addington or Zoe or something. And, oh, wow, that's really cool, Sheila. This couple was in the toy section, saw us going to pick out that toy, and they said, don't do it. Don't buy that toy. Don't buy it. Ours ended up having a vacation in the closet. They think that it broke, but do not buy that toy. And we're like, oh no, it's fine. We're gonna buy it. It won't be that big of a deal. It took 2 minutes, maybe 10 minutes of hearing them run that across the floor. Pop, 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 pop. You're like, oh my gosh, stop it. So I would recommend that. It's really cheap, really loud, really obnoxious. Ha 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 ha. Plus, I feel like you could get away with it. Because I saw someone say a drum. I could see you getting away with it because not everyone really thinks of that one. They're like, oh, that's a classic toy. That's been around for a long time. That's a classic toy. That can't be annoying. If someone sees a drum and opens it up, they're like, oh, heck no, we're not setting that up. But if you get that popper toy, I'm telling you, they're like, oh, okay. They won't think ahead. They will not think ahead, and then they will be thoroughly annoyed for the rest of their life. Heather Pop. She said a popper too. Okay, so this is what it looks like after we sew it. Don't worry, we're gonna flip it on over. You can say hi, but the camera is not, they're not gonna be able to see you. They'll just hear your voice. I'm trying to teach right now. Just say hi. You are so welcome, Heather.
Do you not hear anybody?
No, I don't. No one. I can't hear anybody. They're all in the chat.
On the chat?
Uh-huh. All right, so this is what the block looks like. We've gotten all 3 of our sections sewn on. So now we are going to, there's Addington's hand. He's saying hello. Okay, Addington, get out of here. Get out of here. He said hi. He did not want to take a nap today. Okay, now we're going to trim all the way around our block. Stop yourself before you get started. Make sure you're not cutting off your seam allowance. Do not cut on your solid line. Line up your 1/4 inch line on the solid line and cut on the dashed line. What, Addington? No, no. I'm busy right now. You should be taking a nap right now.
Why Bye.
I intentionally set this up so that I would be doing this during naps. I've been entertaining you all day. Go find something to do. Okay, bye. All right, there we go. This is what it looks like. Bing, 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 bing. Oh no, Maddie. Hold on. We will do the next block. We'll go slower, okay? I want it to look easy, but I don't want to be the only one making it easy. I want you to watch the process and do it like repetitively and catch on and be like, oh my gosh, this was easy. I didn't even think of it. So we're going to do this. Hi all, lurking in the background, cutting out a bag pattern. Oh fun, Lori. What bag are you making? More importantly, what fabric are you making? So Maddie, let's go through this next block a little bit slower and just ask me questions as we go, okay? So I'm going to put that aside. We are now going to do, let's do this one. I know we said we'd go in alphabetical order. This is like the mirrored version of the one that we just did. So let's go through this and go a little bit slower, okay? There's styrofoam on my dog's kennel, and every time he moves, it sounds like popcorn sizzling or something. Okay. So Maddie, we're gonna go slow on this one. So you can take notes. You can always catch the replay as well. Okay, so E1 is where we're gonna start. You always start and you go in numerical order. So 1, 2, 3. So 1 is telling me it's my black fabric. I labeled it B because I knew that that was my black fabric. So I'm gonna cut a piece that's big enough to fit this shape right here, this E1 section, and I also want to make sure I have a 1/4 inch going into E2 and a 1/4 inch going to E3. So basically you're cutting this shape with a 1/4 inch all the way around. This is why I tell you to cut bigger when you're starting out, because that can get crazy trying to be like, oh my gosh, how do I get the perfect size right here? Don't worry about it. Nobody's perfect. Just cut bigger. Cut bigger. So this is what I just cut. See how this is way big, Maddie? This is just way too big. But I know without a doubt that that E1 piece is covered, and I've got my 1/4 inch and everything's dandy. So now what I do is I'm going to put a glue, like a light application of my Elmer's glue stick on the back side of this E1. So I'm going to flip my paper over. I can put it up to a light source. I can really see my lines on the underneath. That's what's going to help me know where I put my glue. So let me put just a light application of glue. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just keeping the fabric onto the paper because we don't have any stitching right now. Press your fabric. First piece is always right sides down, but this is a solid piece of fabric, so you know that solids don't really have a right side, wrong side. They are all the same mostly. And so I'm good. I don't really need to worry about, oh no, is my print on one side, whatever. Solids, you have a little bit less to be concerned with while you're doing this process. So I always recommend maybe try that out. Just do like a whole pattern with just solids and see how that goes for you. Okay, so I laid my piece of paper onto the fabric, and now I'm going to find the line that connects E1 to E2. E1 to E2, and so it's going to be this line right here, right? This little shape is being connected to E2 by this line. So I'm going to take a straight edge and I'm going to line it up just like a hair underneath that line, and I'm going to fold my paper back against that straight edge that I'm using. Crease it, make sure I get a really nice fold, and then I'm going to cut my 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to use my add a 1/4 plus, have it catch up on that fold really nicely, and then trim. Ta-da! Now we're going to go to E2, and my labeling is telling me that that's a background section. So I'm going to find a background piece of fabric that will fully enclose this shape for me. And I'm going to use this fabric. I like to lay it on top sometimes just to see, like, is this piece going to be big enough to cover that section? This is definitely big enough. So I'm going to iron it and give it a little press so that it's nice and flat. And then since this is not the first piece, this is right sides up. So Kathleen had an amazing analogy earlier in the chat. She said it's just like football, first down. So every time you have a first piece, it's face down, right sides face down. And then after that, everything else is right sides up. So I like to lay my fabric right sides up, grab my template, have that fold going, and I like to lay it on that piece. You don't have to match your seam allowances up perfectly. Don't worry about that. And I'm going to see if this fits all that shape that I'm wanting it. So sometimes it just takes some finagling. Sometimes it takes some repositioning on your fabric that you have laid down. I like to pull up sometimes because sometimes you have excess hanging out. You could always trim this off, but I like to like peek underneath. Oh, there's some there. I know that my furthest point is still covered, and I like to just, you know, make sure everything is covered. So then I know this is perfect. This is covering my shape just enough. I'm going to go over and sew on that line that we folded on with a 1.5 or lower stitch length. All right, this is what it looks like after we did that. I didn't do anything to it. Let's flip it over and really see. I just sewed right on that line. So now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to also flip this fabric over that I just sewed on. And I'm going to pull it, I'm going to like tug it just a little bit and make sure it is like laying nice and flat. Give it a nice finger press, take it on over to your iron, make sure it's laying really nice and flat. There we go. Look how nice and flat that is. That looks really good. So now we're going to flip it on over, and we know that we're going on to C3 because we've done, or E3. We've done E1, we've done E2. Now it's time for E3. So we are going to find the line that's next, okay? And this pattern is perfect to start with because all of these have only had 2 lines. So we've already sewn on this line. So this pattern makes it easy for us to know, well, we have to sew on this line next. So that is the one that we're going to do. You're going to fold that over on that line, fold it over. See how that fold is on that line? And then we're going to take our 1/4 inch and we are going to trim. Boop. There is our nice seam allowance. And then again, this is telling me that E3 is BG, which is just an abbreviation for what fabric's going there. That's my background. So I'm going to cut a piece because I don't see a scrap long enough for it. I'm going to cut a little piece. I'm going to iron it. And then I'm going to lay it on my mat face up. Then I'm going to take my template that I just, you know, folded and everything, and I'm going to lay it on top. And I'm going to make sure that the fabric that I laid face up is completely enclosing this shape right here that is folded over that you see. This is the back side of E3. And this is a pretty big piece that I have, but a great thing that you can do is, like, you know, look underneath. Look on the sides. Look on this side. I know this is big enough. And we're going to take it on over and do it. Once you're comfortable with FPP, you're going to get better at eyeballing and not having to cut so big. You're going to get better at getting closer to that shape size, okay? But at the very beginning, it's really good to cut bigger. And this is what it looks like after I sewed it. I really like to iron, like here, I'll iron on this step. I actually just like pressed it just a second before I brought it over. I feel like that sets the seam really nicely, nice and flat. And then I peel it on over, finger press, and then press again with my iron. I wish I could fit my iron in on this camera view, but I cannot. But you guys know how to iron, so. All right, there we go. This is what the back side of it looks like. You can see extra all the way around it. We don't want that. So we are gonna line up our ruler where my 1/4 inch is on my solid line and I'm cutting on the dotted line. Do not cut off your seam allowance.
Our next piece is super easy peasy, and then we'll get into joining. I don't know if I'll be able to work on Donna's blocks. Zoe is like yelling. She doesn't want to take a nap either, I guess. This is what it looks like on the other side when it's all put together. Good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You want progression, not perfection, because as you continue to progress and you get more comfortable, you're going to achieve, you know, what you're wanting to see. Don't expect perfection. Just keep going, keep trying. You'll get the hang of it. This one's super easy, okay? So this one is only a 2-piece one. There's one section with black, one section with background. Oh, thank you, Donna. We were outside playing in the water earlier. I think I'm going to make some chocolate chip cookies with them because I told Addington I would. So, but I am going to knock out 2 more numbers today. That's my goal. So let's start on D1. So this is D1, D2. D1 is a background section. So I'm going to find one of my scraps that I've been saving over here. Definitely big enough. Okay, and just like Kathleen said, it's just like football, first down. So your first piece is always going to be face down. It's the only piece that's like that. It's a very special piece. It gets to be face down because everything else is being sewn onto it and flipped over. You don't flip the first section, right? So I put a little bit of glue on the underneath of my D1, and then I'm laying it on there. Boop, 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 boop. And this one's such a fast block. You guys are going to be like, what? So then you're going to lay your straight edge underneath that line that connects D1 to D2. So you want to put it underneath there. And here, this is a good block to show you, okay? So when I started out, I had my piece like 1, 2. I had it straight, oriented straight the way it's labeled, okay? But when I start folding back my lines, I always move and reposition my block so that the next one that I'm adding on is ahead of me, because then I know that I'm putting it right here and I'm folding back. Sometimes it can get confusing. Like the other night when I was teaching my mother-in-law, sometimes she was having some issues trying to figure out which way to fold her line. And so I told her, always position it. So this is 2. We already did 1. This is 2. Put your straight edge underneath that line and fold towards yourself. Always, okay? That's going to help you keep it straight. Then you're going to cut your 1/4 inch, bloop, and then grab your next fabric for D2, and that is my black fabric, and I have some scraps over there that I've been keeping, and so I have that. It's definitely big enough. Pesky husbands, always wanting something. Will you hand me this? Will you give me a drink? Will you turn on the water so I don't have to climb down off the roof? Dang it! Get your own hose! Oh gosh, that's hilarious. D2, again, this is a solid. So this is like a nice cheap fabric to start out with because there is no right side. They're all the same. And so I am going to not really worry about that for this block. And I'm going to lay my little piece right on there. And I'm going to like pull this up. Okay, it's covered on that side. I'm going to pull this up. Okay, there's definitely enough room. Let's pull it up here. Oh, there's a ton of room. So now I'm going to go sew on that line. I don't know what Miss Zoe's so upset about, but she's up there mad. And I think Austin is asleep with Louise. So when we're done joining this, I'm probably going to have to go see what the heck she's doing up there. Okay, and I went ahead and did what I was doing, but I will stop and go back. So this is what it looks like right after you sew it, front and back. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold that back up on itself, get a nice crease on that sew line, and then press it, and then trim all the way around like you did on all your other blocks, making sure you're not trimming off your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Boop. Boop. I feel like we need some cutting like sound effects. Boop. So now we're going to get into joining. Zoe is pissed. I don't know what she's doing up there. I guess no naps are just non-existent. So what I like to do is I like to take all of my pieces. You're welcome, Maddie. I like to take all my pieces and line them up. I also have a video on my channel, so you could always watch that through too, and I like really go over it and I repeat and I repeat and I repeat. So if you learn that way, which is how I learn, I have to repeat the process over and over and over, and I'm usually very vocal. Like I'll even say it to myself, like fold, trim, sew, fold, trim, sew. Like I have to say those out loud sometimes to learn something new. And so that's how I teach, or how I notice that I teach that way. So I really recommend you watching that video. And I also have one about what we're going to do right now, which is joining them together. So for this part, grab your clips, your nice little clips, and your pins. Let's start with our pins first. And what we're going to do is we are going to take these two sections and these. That's what we're going to sew together, and then we'll do one section, okay? Because we can't really sew it like this. You know, there's a certain way the puzzle has to go, all right? I mean, you could put these three together and then put this and then sew the bottom on. I'm going to do this, this, and then bam, okay? No Y seam piecing in FPP. It's got to be straight lines. So it is in a way a puzzle. So let's cross our fingers that I can get a nice point this time, because last week my point gods were not in my favor. So we are going to do this just like we do any other piecing. Right sides together. Lay it on there. And then try and like line it up nicely. And at this point, you know how we pieced these blocks and they were laying around? Sometimes when you have really, really big patterns that you're working on, they will be laying around overnight or even for like a few days, and they can get pretty wrinkly. The papers can start coming off the paper, or the fabric can start like lifting up off the sheet, and that can cause some waviness, like what Amy was talking about. That can cause that sometimes as well. So it's always good practice to give your blocks a nice press before you start joining. Okay, so what we're doing, I did it on the other side without showing. I'm so sorry. I just like get going and I forget, okay? So take your pin and pin it through that corner. It's like hard to tell where so pin it through, and then you're gonna look through the back side and hope that it came out, that corresponding point. And that looks like a good match to me. But I don't know. I mean, last week I thought it was like a good match and my point was just so off. So hopefully, cross your fingers with me that this is a good point. And then what I do is I clip in between. Clip in between. Clip in between. Beth, wouldn't it help? Little crease in the center of each piece to help them. Yeah, that's a great idea too. Usually, as long as those corner points are put together, that's really good. Another thing that you could do is you could really look at the seams right here of these two blocks and make sure those line up, and then work your way out. Since these are like background sections, they're not as important. The focus is to get these seams to work, you know, for your points. But that's a great suggestion as well. Yep, that's a great suggestion, Kathleen. You could always do that. I always just do this pin and clip method, and it usually works. I don't know what I was doing the other night. I think I was just up past my bedtime or something. And then what you're going to do is you are going to take this on over to your sewing machine, and you are going to sew it down. So before we get started on this, like I'm talking about, last week I did this, and my points did not match up. They did not end up well, which honestly I was surprised. I was like, how the heck did I get that wrong? It happens to everybody, okay? No matter how long you've been doing this, sometimes you can make some mistakes, and you can see that that's like at least a 1/4 inch off that point. So a great suggestion that you could do here is, if it's like a really, really big piece and you've invested hours and hours and there's 1,000 pieces and you do not want to seam rip this line. Like when you're joining, seam ripping is just terrible. You kind of get to the point, at least I do, where I'm like, if I have to seam rip this section, I'm just done. I'm throwing the whole block away and goodbye. But what you could do instead of doing that and throwing a tantrum, like being a little baby like I do sometimes, is you could set your stitch length to a normal stitch length, like do like a 2 or, you know, something like that, something that's easy to rip out. You could sew on that line at a regular one, open it up, assure that your points are matching up, and then fold it back over, turn your stitch length back down to 1.5 or lower, and then go back on there. So since this is like a small project, I'm just going to go for it. I think that last night was a fluke, or the other night was a fluke, so cross your fingers. Sometimes I just go for it. This is an easier block, so I didn't invest like a lot of tears and sweat and blood into it. So if it doesn't go perfectly, that's okay. Pin and clip really improved my FPP. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it really does. Oh, yay! Okay, it looks good. So what I like to do is I like to take that 1/4 inch paper out. Leave your other papers in, but take that 1/4 inch. Do you see? I took that skinny section off. Then I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to rip that 1/4 inch on the back side out as well. And then I'm going to take it on over to my iron and like flip it over and then iron it. Some people are like really into pressing their seams open. If you're, you know, a seam open presser, that's fine. You do you. I don't do that. It's just too much to focus on, too much time. And so there you go. Bam, bam. Now we're going to lay this down. We're going to throw this paper out of our way. And we are going to take our pieces and right sides together. Make sure everything is positioned correctly, oriented the right way. Always can reference your pattern. I like to have my pattern. I don't print out the cover sheet. I like have it open on my iPad, and that way I can like zoom in if it's like a super detailed pattern with a lot of pieces. Sometimes when you print out those sections, you can't see the labels, you can't see where things go. So I really like to have my patterns open on my iPad or my phone, something that I can zoom in on and get a really like a better look at where things are going. Then you're going to sew on that line just like you did, taking your pins out as you go, or your clips out as you go. And when you're doing this, you start at the top and you end at the bottom. You see how it's just like when you're piecing anything else. Don't worry about starting at the start of your solid line and ending. You want to go all the way across so that you have a really secure, strong seam. Rip out your paper and your seam allowance, and then take it on over to your iron and iron it. Oh, I'm so excited for cookie dough. Oh, yes. I might come on later, maybe after dinner, and get some sewing done because I really want to make some progress on Donna's blocks. Doing some number blocks for her. So I will continue making progress on that, and then I'm going to be moving on to a test quilt for Heather. I'm going to make sure this really is where it goes. There we go. So that's kind of what I've got going on. I need to make a tablecloth for my swap partner. So I think what I'm going to do is turn this block into a mug rug and then make her a table runner. And I'm going to enlarge these blocks so that they're 12 inches so I don't have to make as many. I'm going to cheat a little bit. So I'm going to change the scale to do 200 instead of 100%, and that will increase the size of the block. So now we're going to sew. And another great question I've gotten before is, do I need to backstitch when I'm doing FPP? Technically, no. Okay, and you'll thank yourself if you don't, especially when you're starting out. If you have to seam rip, you're already seam ripping like just so many little pieces, so many little stitches. It takes a long time. It's very tedious. If you backstitch on top of that, oh my gosh, you are gonna be just like upset with yourself. So No, you do not have to backstitch at all with FPP. Your stitch length is so small as it is that they're going to be really secure. And then, you know, you got the added bonus of not having to seam rip that shortened stitch length with backstitching, because that, oh boy, that would not be fun. So again, I'm lining up, right sides together, pinning my corners. Pinning my corners. Sometimes it takes a few pins to get it matching up right where you want it to. I'm going to pin at this corner. Okay, and then now I'm going to clip in between. Yay! Did you finish yours? Donna, you'll have to share it in the Discord. I want to see it. And sometimes I'll clip like on this side because I'm going to be taking this pin out, and this just like having this on the side, I'm not going to have to take it out while I'm sewing. It just keeps my block in place. I'm going to take my pins out, and then I'm going to sew along the line. And I want to give Griffen and the Bear, Kimberly from Griffen and the Bear, a huge shout out for letting us use her pattern for both of these live instructions. She makes incredible patterns. And it was really sweet of her to give us the green light for going through this free pattern. So if you haven't yet, go on over to her shop or her Instagram and just go give her some love. Go give her a follow, give her a like, maybe go through her shop and see if there's any patterns that you like. She has a lot of really, really cute animal patterns that are just so beautiful. I have her owl one and I love it. She's going to be making some capybaras. And so, yeah, she's super, super fun in her pattern writing. And then now we're going to take this over and iron once more. Iron it down. She said she sent it to myself. I'll give it a, I'm going to have to look at it. I'm so excited. I love seeing everybody's blocks. There we go. We have our Christmas light block. There we go. It looks so good. And so if this is the only block that you're making, say you want to make this into a mug rug or, you know, a tiny, tiny, tiny little thing, you could even turn this into a Christmas card. You could base it, quilt it, and then put like a card underneath it and write a nice little card to someone. If you're done and you're not making any more additional blocks to make a bigger project, you can tear out all your paper, sandwich it, quilt it as you would, and move on. But yeah, I love tearing out the paper. It's really fun. So I'm going to check my phone and see what Donna sent. And I'll maybe hang on for just like a couple minutes and do some chatting with you guys. So let's turn our view around. There we go. Woo! All right, and now let's look under here. Oh, Donna, that looks amazing. Hey, I have that fabric, that white fabric, or something very similar. Look at this fabric. I literally had it out because I was like, maybe I'll use that for my background. But I ended up using all Christmas thing, and I was like, I'll save this for a quilt pattern that needs like 2 yards of background, because that's why I bought it. I just posted the 4 blocks that I made so far. The plaid one is wonky. Yay! Donna, is it okay if I share your block? If I show it on the screen? And then I'll show Amy's, and then I'll head out. Same fabric bed. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I think they have this fabric also in black. I think I used that fabric in black from Joanne. I love that stuff. Okay, this is Donna's block. Look at it. Here, let me click on it. There we go. That ring light is being a pain in the butt. Yay! Donna, you're becoming an FPP pro. Let's go on and look at Amy's block real quick. I was going to stay on and stitch for a little bit, but Addington's up and about upstairs, and Zoe was not a happy camper a little bit ago. So let's see. Looking for Amy's blocks. Oh, yay! Those are so cute. Here are Amy's blocks.
She used a really beautiful turquoise. I love that background fabric, Amy. That's gorgeous.
Oh, that's so fun. And she did some fussy cutting on this owl. Look at that little owl. Hello, guys. I'm in a Christmas light. So cute. Everyone did amazing. If you did this along with us or you're going to catch the replay and do it later, no worries. But if you do complete the block, please send it over and also post it on Instagram and tag Griffen and the Bear and say thank you for letting us use your pattern. It was already a free pattern, but I just reached out and said, hey, it's okay, right? So post these on your pages and tag Griffen and the Bear, okay? She would love to see these as well. All scraps left over from, isn't that the best thing about FPP? It's the best. Thank you, Beth. I'm a work in progress with tons to go. You are doing so, so good. You're doing amazing. It took me forever to get a hold onto FPP. I'm telling you. It took me forever. Oh my gosh, but I'm glad I finally did it. I'm glad that you guys are actually enjoying it. For those of you who are trying it along with us for the first time, just thank you for giving it a go. It makes me so happy to see people enjoying it just as much as I do. I think that this is all for me today. I might get on later this evening and work on Donna's blocks. I'm trying to get 2 more done today, and hopefully I can have it done early this week and send it on out to her. Donna, I did mail out my additional travel blocks. I apologize. I did not put my name on them. I did not label the block. Don't kill me, okay? I just was like, you know what? It just needs to go to the post office. And then by the time I sent it out, I was like, wait, I was supposed to label those. So no worries about that. It's on its way to you. I'll be live at 6 p.m. working on the traveling quilt project, but we'll catch you after I'm done on the replay. Yay! That's been really fun to watch. So if you guys haven't been watching, Donna has been putting the blocks together. She's been opening up all of the envelopes and everything. So go check out her videos. Catch her on live tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Yay, that's awesome, Lynn. Thank you so much. I will, Donna. It's like the simple, it's a 9-patch block. It's like the simple one. I'll send it over. My green fabric I ran out of finally arrived yesterday, so I can keep working on the simple block you designed. Yay! I'm so excited, Amy. I can't wait to see it. And tonight they're building Quilt 1. That is really exciting. So make sure you all tune in there. 6 p.m. Eastern time on Handmade by Ying's YouTube channel. I can't talk. I think I'm thinking about chocolate chip cookie dough. Oh, it's gonna be good. All right, and I'm gonna let you guys all go. You can reach me on Discord or Instagram. You can reach me through there. So if you want to message me and send you your blocks or questions, Maddie, if you have any questions, I'm always here. If anyone needs anything from me, just shoot me a message and I will get back to you. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy your mashed potatoes and your pool day and all of the fun things. Bye. I'm gonna press the button.